Hello, Tom. Thanks for having us here.
No, it's nice to be here.
You're the author of the book Ohne Zweifel, so called in German. Can you please tell us about the story?
Yeah, it's based on a real event, something that happened to me whilst I was writing Agent 6, which was the third book in the trilogy. My parents had retired to a farm in Sweden. My dad is English, my mum is Swedish. And I got a phone call during the summer. And my dad said, your mum is very ill, she's in a psychiatric hospital, you have to fly out here. And I said yes, I'll book a ticket. And on the way to the airport, I got a second call from my mum, and she said, everything your father has told you is a lie, I'm not sick, I'm going to meet you in London, don't fly out.
This happened for real,
This is
right?
for real,
Okay.
this is for real. So I waited at the airport, I had a ticket to Sweden, which I then ripped up and just waited at Heathrow, and she arrived, and she seemed like my mother. She didn't seem different, and she said, let's go back to your apartment, I've got to tell you what happened in Sweden. And she took me back to my apartment and she told me this story, and it was this conspiracy theory, and my dad was involved in this plot, and I don't remember all the details. So this book is based upon that idea, and it's fiction. It's with a fictional Daniel, and he's not a real person, he's not me, but he's based upon my experience. So that's the premise of the book. Okay. It's the story my mum told to me.
When you start writing a book, do you start with the characters, or does the idea come up?
It generally tends to be an idea, and the characters come out of the idea. So with this, it was the idea of having a mother tell a son a story, and the son having to decide whether they believe the mother or the father, whether they think it's true or whether they think it's made up. You know, the couple in the book have sold their house in London, moved to a farm in the middle of Sweden, and they want to start their life again in a kind of retirement way. They want to have this beautiful farm, grow all their own food. They want to lead a sort of perfect retirement life. And what happens is the community they've moved into is, she is convinced the mother is holding a dark secret. And she starts looking into it and being convinced there's a conspiracy. And that's the story she's uncovering. And that's the story that we explore in the book.
All right, sounds great. Do you think there is the typical Swedish thriller?
I mean, it happens in Sweden because I'm half Swedish, and the events that's inspired by took place in Sweden. So I didn't, when I was writing it, think, oh, this is connected to all the Scandinavian thrillers. It's just that's the location it happened in. Yeah. I think the Swedish landscape is very interesting. It's very good for mystery. But beyond that, I just had an interview with a journalist who said he didn't think it was anything like the Swedish thrillers. So, I don't know. It's for other people to decide who love Swedish thrillers to compare it to that. It's not really for me to say.
Actually, you are now, I would say, quite famous. With your first book, you had a great bestseller. How do you live with that? Do you get a lot of tension about that?
Well, first of all, as a writer, you're not really famous in the sense that no one ever recognizes you, and no one's ever come up to me on the street.
Okay.
And in terms of the books, it's just, it's just a wonderful privilege that people are reading them and liking them. That feels great. That's just exciting. Yeah, and then you just sit down and think, I want to write the best book I can possibly write. That's it. That hasn't changed in a sense. Yeah.
Was that always a dream for you to be?
Yeah. Yeah. When I was a child, I loved hearing stories. I loved people telling me stories. And this book is a story about people telling stories. The mother is telling the son a story of what happened, and the son is listening. It's very close to that sort of when I was a child, that feeling of listening to a story and trying to work it out. And that's why the whole book is seeped in stories about fairy tales, and it's a real story to listen to and think about. Yeah.
Great.
But I always wanted to do that from a kid. Yeah, that was my dream.
So you also started as a kid writing?
Yeah. I think I wrote my first book when I was 12 or something. Yeah. It wasn't very good, but you had to start.
Well,
you had to start, exactly.
You have to
if
train.
you start early, you can look back and think, wow, that was embarrassing. But it's good for the confidence as well. You think, I've done it, now I just need to do it better. Yeah. If you don't do it, I think you can get in your head that it's impossible to do, and that it's this big obstacle that you just can't break. Whereas if you start early, you think, well, I've done it. It's just another question of getting it a bit better and a bit better. It's important not to get blocked in your brain about what you can and can't do. And so I always just thought, well, I can write these, I just need to get better at it, rather than thinking, I'll never be able to do it. Yeah.
Did you had a hard way to get the first book published? Was it difficult?
But obviously, there were various things I worked on that haven't worked. And you take them badly. You feel a lot of pain when you worked on something for years and it's rejected. But you have to pick yourself up and try again. And the big trick was to make sure you're working on something new when you send the book out.
Yeah.
So that if it doesn't work out, you pretend it didn't happen and you just pour all your energy into the new project. That was my trick. And it was so even when I finished Child 44, I had started work on a TV project, and I was just like, push Child 44 to the side. Probably won't get published. Let me just concentrate on this TV project. That would be my trick for people.
Are you planning already new projects?
Yeah, I'm working on a TV series for HBO actually.
Wow, also a thriller or?
A thriller, yeah, set in London, and a new novel.
So thank you very much for the informations, and I wish you a lot of success for the future.
Thank you. It was nice speaking to you.
Thank you.